Hey guys, it's Greg. Um, Last video had something to do with the Alexa and um, it recording conversations, sending those recorded conversations to a contact that evidently must have been in the machine, uh, and some of you pointed out that it seemed, you know, maybe like it was disinformation, or actually possibly to me it did, after taking a second look at it, seem like maybe this is what they want to focus, want us to focus on while they're, sleight of hand, you know. But since then, uh, I've found another source, and it's not a small source either. It's uh, if you're older and tech savvy, you'll remember the Screensavers, and I watched that show religiously. Now there's a new Screensavers, and it still has Leo Laporte, and I think his name's Alex or whatever. Uh, and it's on Twit TV. And right now, trying to find out who actually owns it, it's a podcast, and trying to find out who actually owns them is like pulling eye teeth, because they're in litigation with Twitter and all kind of craziness. So, but the article that they reference comes from a uh, news website, Recode, which is like a tech news type online magazine or articles, and Recode is owned by Vox Media, VOX, Vox Media. So we all know that everything is owned by 5 or 6 companies. The media is controlled, and regarding if they want us focusing on this while they do something else or not, I don't know. But this is a second source, and it's a pretty big source, because the Screensavers have a really they have a cult following, and the new Screensavers is probably basically the same thing. So, but also this appeals more to tech savvy people, and tech savvy people tend to think, well, it's just they don't care, really. They don't care that this thing might have done this. But Leo Laporte, the way he tries to, it's not that he tries to, he's basically stating that, Amazon's official story is shit. The way that they've presented it. Amazon has presented this thing as if these people actually gave the Alexa commands to do this shit, to actually record their conversations and then send it. So, anyway, here's the clip. This is a second source, so, I don't know what to, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you whether you should unplug it, take it out. I'll say this. I don't want one. I don't own one. I don't need one. But if I had one, I would unplug it. I would take it out there probably to the utility building where I do some electronic work every now and then, or even in the house. I would take it apart and use the parts. But if I wasn't me and I was somebody that doesn't do that, I'd take it out there in the driveway and bust the shit out of it. Because there may be some type of lithium battery in it, and who knows? You know, even unplugging it might not do very much as far as security from the big boys, the alphabet soup companies. So, should we start calling them Campbells instead of saying FBI, CIA, NSA? Just call them Campbell's, alphabet soup. You know, I don't know. I like Matt's script zombies. That's cool. Yeah, script zombies. I dig that. But see, if electronics is in your bag, you know, you can't, you're not going to reuse the parts. If you don't want this thing, that's your decision. I'm not telling you to do this. I'm not saying unplug it. You know, if you decide that you don't want this thing any longer, just unplugging it may not be enough, because it could have a battery in it, just enough to send off, you know, a transmission, and, you know, just to power a transmitter. Alright guys, here's the clip from the new Screensavers, which is on Twit TV, and I don't know what Twit TV's the affiliation is with who and what, but the article they reference is from Recode, that's owned by Vox Media. So, alright guys, yeah, that's about all I got today. Okay, have a good one. Please be good to everyone else, and take care, guys.
This is Twit.
So Cairo 7, Channel 7 got this story. They talked to a woman, first name only, Danielle. I guess she must have called the station and said, okay, the weirdest thing just happened. My husband and I were having a conversation. There she is. My husband and I were having a conversation. And all of a sudden, we get a text from an employee of my husband who said, you know, Echo just sent me a recording of your conversation. And she said, shut the front door. And he said, no, it did. You were talking about hardwood floors, right? And she said, yeah. So that's weird. Maybe even a little creepy. But Amazon confirmed it. Because, you know, they log everything. They know. They probably even have, I'm sure they have recordings of the whole thing. So what happened, Amazon says, is somehow during their conversation, this Recode got the story, somehow during their conversation, they must have said the wake word. A-L-E-X-A in this case. You can have different wake words, but that's the one. And then, without knowing it, the Echo heard, after the wake word, sometime within a short time, send a message. Now, this is what Amazon says happened. If you say send them, if I said send a message to Matt Cutts and you're in my contact list, it probably would just start recording the message. But in this case, they didn't say a name, so the Echo said, to whom? Out loud. But I guess Danielle and her husband were talking loud. They weren't paying attention for whatever reason. They didn't hear that. But weirdly enough, such a coincidence, they said something that was interpreted as a name in their contact list. At which point, again, Amazon's Echo spoke up again and said, this name, right? And then somehow they heard right. It heard right in the conversation. Now, we've tried this, and that's all you need. If I said Echo, send a message to Matt Cutts, it would then record, and without confirmation, send the message. So Amazon says, yeah, as unlikely as this sounds, we think we can make this a little bit better. Step one would be to say, did you just say to send this message to Matt Cutts? Would have been helpful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? They may have had, I think by default, is the bleep turned on or off by default? That when you say echo, it goes bleep? I think that's off by default, but I have it turned on mine because you want to know, right? We've all had the echo respond.
I refused to have one in the house and felt very smug this week. Yes,
Yeah.
it was just like...
Well, I worry a little bit that there might be a little bit of techno panic here. People go, oh my God, the thing is listening, because people think that anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is listening, but it isn't. You know, I mean, it's listening out for certain things, but it's not recording bedroom conversations.
Here's what I think Amazon could and should do. They've got to give you a chance to have your own trigger word.
Yeah.
This 4 to choose from is terrible. And I have we have a co-host, Alex Lindsay. He says I can't use it because it gets triggered whenever anybody says my name. It gets triggered. I said this morning I was talking about being lexically scoped, and my echo woke up. So don't say lexically scoped.
We're going to have to do xylophone. You know? It's just like something which doesn't really crop
Alhambra, al dente. So one thing would be to have, and in the Moto X you could do this. It's the only phone I've ever had but you could do it, and I had it help me Obi-Wan Kenobi, and that seemed highly unlikely that actually that would ever happen.
Okay.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Encourage people to train it. You can train it, but you're not required to. If it trained it to your voice, it'd be less likely to happen too, right? Seems like they could fix this.
Oh, I would also.
Well, but part of the problem is I think those code words, you can bake them into silicon where it can do that hot word detection with
cheap.
very low energy.
It's cheap.
Whereas training it for your dynamic phrase is a little tougher.
And a Moto X had a bigger processor and it had a bigger battery, and
On the other hand, throw a few more transistors at it because, you know, we want to say different things.
So, Brian, you want to, should there be a law?
This is why we can't have nice things.
That's right. Exactly. Do you have echoes in your house?
We have an unplugged one in our closet.
So here's what this is what I hear most often is people like you and Ian saying, well, I'm not going to have that in my house. But do you carry a phone with a microphone and a GPS and a camera on you?
The GPS is always off unless I absolutely need it.
Oh.
And voice commands are locked down. So, no.
Okay, they're locked down, but if I got a subpoena and I went to your carrier and I said, could you just turn on the microphone on Ian's phone?
Oh, yeah. Could be done perfectly easily. Has been done in the past. Will be done again.
So the nightmare scenario of these devices is totally implementable on a smartphone.
Oh, yeah. But
so you carry that.
Well, yes, but they'd have to get a subpoena to actually get it.
Well, they would, I'm sure, with the Echo as well, unless you think Amazon, Jeff Bezos just... You know, I remember talking to Woz. Okay, this is a bad story, but I'm going to tell it anyway. I remember talking to Woz. Woz, as you know, quite a geek, a little bit of a prankster. Before digital cell phones came out, it was fairly easy to spoof an analog phone.
Yeah.
He used to sit in his living room and listen in on people's conversations all the time.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's how the whole Prince Charles, Camilla Parker Bowles thing came out. Because there was a journalist sitting outside the Buckingham Palace with a receiver listening to these insane
Because it wasn't
phone
encrypted.
calls.
It was analog. No. It was just going through the air. So Woz, I guess, was close enough to a cell site that he...
And that's why we need strong encryption everywhere. And I'm sure every co-host agrees on this.
Oh, yes.
Everywhere.